Oh my God, it's Fan Flak.
Yay, Fan
We're
Flak.
back.
And look who we got.
Yeah, it's Richard Halpern.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it.
It's our ongoing
Hey, Richard.
Halpern.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Melody.
We
Round of
we're
applause.
He is by far our most popular guest.
absolutely.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Oh yeah.
We got people emailing us, asking us when you're going to be back.
Yeah.
They
You got-
say it's great to see you're back. Now turn around to see the rest of you.
Earth humor.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Well, we're so happy to have you, especially at the late notice. We have two guests that are perennial no-shows.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, so I had to last week we had to pull in another friend of ours, and we messaged you this week, and bless you, you were available. So what could we do without you?
Oh, bless you. God. Well, you picked a good time, actually. I mean,
What do you got behind you, Richard?
My mirror.
There's like a poster of Austin Powers or you.
Yeah, this is me, and they
Hey, cool.
made this for it was a solar convention, a trade show in Long Beach, California, and the solar company, and I gave them the slogan. I say, Austin Solar Powers, baby, yeah. So they made this thing, and the day before they had this on, and they said, I'll be here tomorrow in this booth from this time, and so I showed up, and they took my picture. This is a picture of me. They flipped it, but this is me,
Cool.
and they made this thing. So I put it here
Cool.
next to my Rondo Hatton Award. Whoa! Oh no! Oh, we're having a set malfunction like Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the set malfunctions were always happening on that show. Okay, we're talking Oscars today because for the first time ever, a science fiction film won best movie, I guess, and it took home all of the major awards except for Brendan Fraser in The Whale, and I'm happy, frankly, that he won that.
Yeah.
So I, as everybody knows, because I came home from seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once, just proselytizing. It's like, go see this movie. It's brilliant.
I got arrested for proselytizing, but it solicited me, so
It
they
will
let
get
me
you
go.
in trouble.
Right.
But I was, I just adored this film. We've seen it 3 times in the theater and twice at home.
Wow.
I didn't know if it was available at home. How do you get it at home?
It's on regular viewing stuff now. I mean, you have to pay to rent it. It's like $5 to rent. But
well, I have seen 3 Academy Award movies.
What are they?
And the first 2 I'm going to mention were okay. That Puss in Boots movie, it was okay. The All Quiet on the Western Front was okay.
Okay.
Pinocchio is wonderful.
Oh, okay.
That Guillermo del Toro version of Pinocchio, it is better than the Disney one.
Wow.
It is outstanding. I turned it on last night when I was about to go to bed, and I got watching it, and I ended up laying there for 2 hours watching this thing.
Wow.
And it's stop action.
Mm-hmm.
It was done in the old, and he didn't he 3D printed a few things, but almost all of it was hand carved puppets that were made for this thing. He went the old style. A few things he had to kind of bend and do the 3D printing, but it was really something. I
Well, that
highly
is
recommend watching it.
well. That's good to hear. Is I rarely go out to the. First of all, they closed my favorite movie theaters here. They closed the Vista, which
Oh,
is under renovation, and the Lance Allspa, who owned it, is a big Dark Shadows fan,
yeah.
and would show the House of Dark Shadows or Night of Dark Shadows, and invite the cast, invite this, and then in the front of that theater, the little forecourt, they got the hands in the cement, all different types of movies, but they have a Dark Shadows section, and that's really cool. But he sold it to Quentin Tarantino.
Ah,
So, and this is a vintage theater. It was open, I think, either 1923 or 1926. And the first movie was with Baby Peggy, who nobody
yeah.
knows today, but she was this huge star
Oh, she was,
back then.
absolutely.
She was, and I knew her. I mean, she was in her 90s and she was still, and was telling, and there's a documentary about her called The Elephant in the Room, which is fascinating about her and her life. But he sells this theater to Quentin Tarantino's. Now it's closed for now. They're renovating all this. And the ArcLight, which had a whole bunch of theaters in it, they closed that. The Cinerama Dome is closed. At least they're not going to knock it down. Please God, let them not knock that down. And that's basically it. I go to special screenings. If so, I went, what did I go see? That was like an emergency. I had to go see. I forgot what it was now. All right, but a lot of these films, because I'm Screen Actors Guild, they send you either a disc or a code, and you watch these things online. So I saw quite a few of them. I didn't see all of them. And I loved the Whale. That was really good. I enjoyed that very much. And I loved Elvis. That was good. And I'm trying to
Yeah,
think what else I saw. Yeah, and but I had seen that Marilyn movie a long time ago. I think it was on Netflix or something. And I thought, what are you doing to this salacious thing? And in the meantime, you've got these shot for shot recreations of like Some Like It Hot. I was watching the trailer and they showed Some Like It Hot. And I thought I was watching that Some Like It Hot. And all of a sudden she's like, I can't do this. It's like, oh, it's a movie. Oh my God. It's the, you know, so that was awful that, and, I liked Jamie. Well, I always loved Jamie Lee Curtis, but I didn't see this movie. But I think she deserves, for a body of work, and apparently she was very
yeah.
good
Oh,
in that.
she was brilliant.
And I
You have to see this movie. I mean,
and I
that's
saw. Okay, I'll check it out. Well, I want to see it. I mean, I really do. I haven't had a chance yet to do it. And I saw Batman. That was on the streaming as well that they sent me. I thought that was pretty good, and the makeup for Colin Farrell. Now, this is about 2 weeks ago, the day before the Academy Awards. My friend Marky Makeup, he said, well, this is a while ago. He said, hey, they're going to have a makeup and hairstyle panel at the Academy Museum the day before the Academy Awards, March 11th. And you want to go, and I'm a member, so I got us in for free. He knew another member. So we go. Marky says, all right, don't turn around. Don't look. Right behind us is Colin Farrell. He's sitting right there. Oh, I saw that Irish movie too. I did see that. And I thought, the whole movie is, I'm not going to ever talk to you again. Why?
yeah.
That was the whole movie. Anyway, so
I
he's
know.
sitting there, and me, I walk up to him and I go, because it's makeup, I go, Tilda Swinton. That's amazing. You look just like, look at these prosthetics. That is so good. You look just like, and then his son, I guess, this little boy next, and he looked like Leo DiCaprio. I said, and this one, little baby Leo DiCaprio, that's him. And he goes, yeah, you hit that one. You nailed that one right on the head. You nailed that one right. And they were laughing and stuff. And there was a guard there. I said, look at this guard. This is great. You look just like one of these guards. These prosthetics are fantastic. I hope you're all really. So that was, they didn't throw me out either. So it was good. Yeah.
Well, they tend to be. I have actually been to one of those screening things. It was before they had the you know ascribed museum. It was when they used to just rent a hall, but they did a tribute to James Dean, and I noticed they're very liberal with their rules in with people there, so that's a good thing. As a result, we had a lot of creative people, and it was fun. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be dry and boring, but
No, I did too, because that's not my thing. I mean, yeah, as far as Austin goes, there's not prosthetics, but there's fake
sure,
sideburns, there's some hair, and there's teeth. That all comes under the heading of makeup and hairstyling. But that's Marky's thing, and I went because of him, and I could. But as it turns out, I had a good time, and Brendan Fraser showed up.
oh,
But
there
the
you go.
wall, because they showed these 5 movies. They showed not the whole movie. They showed little clips focusing on the makeup and
Right.
the prosthetics. And then when they got to the whale, which is the last one, they said, "Oh, we have a surprise. Yes, here he is, Brendan." He comes out and talks, and he the standing ovation, and he spoke, and it was quite interesting to listen to some of these people. And you mentioned All Quiet on the Western Front. She said, this was right in the height of COVID. And we all had masks and everything. But she said, some of the actors came down with it. So we had to recast the role. Can you imagine getting a part in a major, and you come down with, and they said, all right, bye. As opposed to, well, we'll wait. No, you're out of here. We're bringing this one in. So
Bad immune system out. Yeah.
Yeah, just goodbye. And so that was, and then what was the one, Wakanda, Black Panther Part 2. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but there is this guy, and his name is Namor. And he's got pointed ears, and he's got wings on his feet, and he lives in the ocean. And I said, oh, Submariner, that's who that is. So after the thing is over, these people outside, and there was a museum displayed outside. So I see those people coming out. And one of the ladies, I said, did you know that Namor is, Prince Namor is Submariner, right? She goes, no, I didn't know that. I didn't. Then I talked to the head lady, who I have a picture of on my social media. I said, you knew that Namor was Submariner? She goes, of course I did. Of course. I said, yeah, well, she didn't know. So, what? So, yeah, it was a great panel, and I did learn a lot, and I did get to see some celebrities, and as you say, interacted with that. And as I say, they didn't kick me out, which is good.
Well, doing the conventions that my wife and I used to do, we got to see a lot of the makeup people, and I got to hold one of the misfit ants from The Outer Limits.
Oh my God, that show scared me to death.
Well, I met Joseph Stefano, who was the creator of The Outer Limits. He happened to be at this convention, and his son used to ride motorcycles with a buddy of mine. So his son introduced me to his dad, and then his dad let me hold this stop action thing. I mean, that was cool.
Well, Joe Stefano wrote the screenplay for Psycho. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of stuff. Yeah, and I met
with the major person in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Tom Savini, who talked my daughter out of being a makeup artist.
Why would he do? Don't
Because
ever get into this.
well, I didn't want my daughter to do that. And because I thought she was headed for more well-paying things.
Hey,
And
if she got it,
Tom told her, he says, if you want to do it, if you've got to do it, I'll help you. He says, but let me tell you, I'm one of the higher paid people in the industry at that time. Mm-hmm. And he says, and I barely could scrub 2 nickels together.
Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, I remember on Face Off, there was some comment made that everyone thinks we're rich. Well, everybody thinks writers are rich, and of course, we're
I don't
very
know. I think Melody was at this convention. Michael Westmore was at the convention.
Yeah.
He had the head from the alien in one of the Star Trek movies.
Yeah, Michael Westmore is the nicest person in the world.
That's so good to hear.
You can walk up to him and talk to him, and he's like, the grocer on the corner.
I mean, because this convention was not one of the big Creation Con. It was one called StarCon, which this guy did. It was in the same building as the Creation Con, but it wasn't nearly as well paid as that one. but they had some good people.
Well, you've gone to the Hollywood show, right? They have that. Well, I don't know who lives out here. Who lives where?
We all live out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they have it. They used to have it at the Beverly Garland, and then they moved it to the Hilton, which was the Marriott, or it was the Hilton by the Burbank.
Yeah, they have these shows all over the place.
They do them all over the country. But this is the one that was here. I got to finally meet Van Williams after 5,000 times. Well, he can't come. He's got a bad back. He had a very, very bad back.
Yes, he did.
And he lived in Ketchum, Idaho, and but right near Adam West.
Next door, as a matter of fact, they were neighbors.
Yeah, and then Adam West moved to Palm Springs, I heard.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he stayed in Idaho, but I've got to wanted to meet him because there was a time. There used to be a channel on, and I used to get all the premium channels, and I get nothing, and I don't miss it. But one was, forget the name of it, but they were showing Green Hornet. And of course, it's in beautiful HD. And I got to watch all these again. And that's a great show. So I said, I got to meet this guy. So I finally got to meet him. Then he passes away not long after that. So those shows, you never know who's going to be around afterwards. And then look at the Dark Shadows things we did. Yeah. I did this thing. If you go way, way back to 1999, 2000 out here, and then 2001 in New York, in the Trade Center Marriott, which is in the Trade Center, late August of 2001. We're all there.
Yeah.
I wrote a skit called, because of the Collinsport Players, let's preface this. It was started by Laura Brodian and I think Jim Pearson, and I forget who else was in on it. They started that way back. So I became a member of the Collinsport Players. I started writing skits. Well, this one was called The Spy Who Bit Me. And it was like an Austin Powers crossover with Dark Shadows. And I had Lara Parker was in it as Mrs. Evil. She's like Dr. Evil's widow. Apparently he's dead. And then their daughter, Katie, which is her was Ms. Evil, and it's supposed to be like Scott. And they play. But John Carlin was there as Willie Loomis. And he comes to this, it opens where, of course, it's not a coffin. There's chairs with a sheet over. So I'm laying down. You can't see me, And John comes in with a flashlight and says, "Oh, it's the missing room. Oh, there's a coffin here. What's that doing here?" And he opens it. He goes, "At last, I'm going to get my hands on the Collins family jewels." And I go, "You ain't touching my family jewels, baby." And I reach my hand up and I have the cuff, with the lace cuff, and I grab him by. He goes, "Oh!" And I get up, and it's awesome. John is gone. I had Laura Collins, Diana Millay. She was in it. She's gone. All right. Then when we did it out in California, in New York, this was the first time we did it was California. In New York, Chris Pennock was in it. Yeah. He's gone. We had these people that came in, and of course you see that Christmas Carol that we did. We've got Mitchell Ryan.
And
he's gone. And Chris Pennock was in the one we did before. They had just like a panel.
Yeah.
And we had that. So you've got this all preserved, whether it's these skits, and I was fortunate enough to get these people to agree to do it, which was like chasing people around with a butterfly net. And Jim was like, not having it, and he says, "Well, okay, but I gotta have him on this." So I was getting this, and we made it. And Roger Davis, I wanted him to be the last line of the show. The line was, Peter Bradford, what are you doing here?" And he comes on and supposed to say, "I keep telling you folks, my name is Jeff Clark. Geez." And that's where it's like, and I asked him in California, "Would you like to do this?" It's what? No, I want to hear about it. I don't want to hear. I said, but it's no, I can't. No, I can't. No, I can't. I said, it's one line at the end. No, I get it. So he floats away. So it was so successful in California. When we get to New York, he's like, "Yeah, well, can I be in?" I said, "Well, it's too late." Yeah, I think my nephew was doing it. And I said, "Look, I can't take him out of the play because you don't want to do it. And you should have done it when I told you. You could have done it again." But he was doing weird things, But those were some, but it's so good that any of these skits and even do you know who just passed away?
Yeah.
Rick Hatch. Remember Rick?
Really?
Yes, like days ago. It just happened. As Richard Hatch, not from Battlestar Galactica, our friend, Rick Hatch, who was a huge fan of the show. Yeah. He'd go to all the conventions. He was the nicest man. He sent me a Christmas card every year. He lived in Binghamton, New York.
Right.
And we would communicate. But he was... It's interesting. It's the same thing like the plot of The Whale. They kept telling him, "You need to go to the hospital right now." And he wouldn't do it. And then this one too, they said, "You need," because he had a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And they said, "You need to go to the hospital." He wouldn't do it. And I guess we don't know the cause as of yet. That's how soon it is. But he just passed away. And that is a big loss to the fandom of Dark Shadows.
Yeah,
because he was one of the really heavy hitters of it and real devout fan aficionado of that show.
And of course, we just lost Ann Wilson, who
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved Ann Wilson. She was something else. It was like she stayed the whole convention inside the room. It's like, what are you not seeing anything? And I'd go up to her and I'd say, "And do you know where I have no idea what you're talking about." And I come again. "Do you know?" I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know.
So one time we were doing a skit and I said, "Oh, I'm Ann Wilson. I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about." Well, I'm very sorry to hear that because she was another huge fan.
Well, she lived a long life, but I must tell you, when you met Anne, you kind of thought she was sort of a secretary who lived, in Delaware and commuted in, or so, and her address was in Maplewood, New Jersey.
Right. That was where you sent the money and
Right,
the
exactly.
registration.
So we're on our way there, and we're trying to find the house because we're going to stay with her overnight and then go in. And so that house has started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're going, what the heck? She must live in a little house behind it. No, she lived in a mansion.
Wow.
And we went in there, and those portraits you see in museums, floor
Yes.
to ceiling, that she had her grandparents hanging on the wall,
Wow.
floor to ceiling. I'm talking. It took up the stairwell,
Wow.
and I'm like looking at this, going, who were your grandparents? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So then I won't say who it was because she asked me not to.
Okay.
But she had a piece of art hanging on the wall, and I'm looking at it thinking, oh, it must be a print.
It's the real thing. Wow.
And I didn't want to sit on the furniture because it was all this, French provincial, and I sat on the floor. I told her, I said, I'm not sitting on that. I break that. I can't. She said, I don't care. That was Anne.
That's
in a
amazing.
nutshell.
That's
But I
great.
must tell you that to get back on Oscars, we did have, of course, one Oscar nominee on In Dark Shadows, and that is Grayson Hall, who was nominated for Night of the Iguana in Best Supporting Actress. And I said to her, so, read me the speech. And she said, I didn't have one. What do you mean you didn't have? She said, I wouldn't get a win. And how did you know? She says, because you know.
You just know. Oh, you just know.
And she says, I dressed up. I was there to the nines. And she had, who was it? Cesar Romero behind her. And she had Sam entered the way you're supposed to. Then, of course, she didn't win. But she... I would have had a speech, and I'd have given it to everybody afterwards. But
well, speaking of speeches at the Academy Awards, you saw one of the people we lost last year was Sacheen Littlefeather.
Littlefeather, yeah.
Yeah, we did lose her, and right after they did a tribute to her.
Yeah, and of course they had. She also had a Dark Shadows link in that.
Did she?
Yeah, she won the Miss Vampire contest in New Jersey. And Jonathan had to put the crown on her head. So that was in her...
Did she turn it down and have somebody else accept it for her?
No, she actually accepted that. I guess
that would have been funny if Marlon Brando had appeared and accepted the award for her.
I'm very sorry, but Littlefeather does not want to accept this award because that show is the occult and it's all the devil, so she doesn't accept it. And you got to remember that.
That would have been great. Can you imagine?
Yeah, she took that one, and that was her claim to fame until she, of course, she was under her real name back then. But then she reappeared as Instant Indian. We are part Native American, so I can say that.
Well, it's like what's the Iron Eyes Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Italian.
He was Italian. He wasn't even a little bit Indian.
Not
But
even.
but the but the Native Americans liked so much his portrayal that they made him an unofficial Native American.
Yeah, they didn't
Wow.
mind him doing that, but the yeah, there's been so many. In fact, Victor Mature made a career out of playing Native Americans because he had a strong jaw, and of
Like
course,
Elvis Presley.
yeah, yeah. Well, Elvis at least was part Cherokee.
What was that movie? Flaming
Oh yeah, Flaming
Arrow
whatever.
or Flaming,
Yeah,
I forget what it was called, but that was
yeah.
pretty much his worst acting performance. I'm sorry, but it was
Wow.
pretty terrible.
Well, that movie, they talk about him loving Captain Marvel Jr. They don't really say who this character is in the blue with the lightning bolt, because now there's no such thing as Captain Marvel unless Marvel comes. It's Shazam, which is not his name. It's Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury. I was trying to think of this yesterday.
Yeah.
That spells out Shazam.
Yeah.
And his name was Captain Marvel, and his magic word was Shazam. Well, when the comic book stopped being printed in the 40s, 50s, whatever, within that time, Marvel Comics has their character, Captain Marvel. And it's like, so then they tried to reintroduce the Captain Marvel comic on the DC in the early 70s, which I still have the first edition. It was called Shazam, the original Captain Marvel. And so they would show reprints of the old comics that they would run. And we made this movie. I don't understand. Could they say something? Could they say, it's like Austin Powers and Goldmember. Oh, no, James Bond people say, nope, it's too close to Goldfinger. You can't say it. Well, they piggyback. They said, all right, you can say the name of Goldmember if you show our James Bond trailer in front of all. They did. Yeah. So why they couldn't come to an agreement to say Captain Marvel somehow instead of Spider-Fingers, whatever they call. And I didn't even see the movie because I was pretty angry. But
well, now Captain Marvel is a woman.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. Everything is possible now,
But I don't know why I don't like them doing that. If they want to have a woman superhero, make a new one.
They got Wonder Woman. They've got Supergirl.
Right? Make a new one. It's like you wouldn't see them. Supergirl's terrible, especially that WB version of it.
Oh, Faye Dunaway and Brenda Vaccaro, the two of them. Supergirl, I will. That movie was. I love that movie. Supergirl.
But I think that superheroes is a male domain, and I don't think women fit well into it because we would tend to be the ones when the big nasty guy comes in to kill everybody. We'll be the one to go, hey, listen, what's the matter? Okay,
let's settle this without fighting.
Did you have a problem with your mom? Give us a hug.
Super therapist.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
There's a new
That's your next movie.
But my theory about Shazam, and by the way, to all my friends, I was just joking. I'm happy with female superheroes. Yeah. My theory about Shazam is they wanted to give the what's it called? The Mandela effect people a reason to shut up because one of the big Mandela effect theories is there was a movie called Shazam that starred what is his name? He's a comic. Starred this fellow, and it came out, and there has never been a movie by this name. But of course, I remember that movie. So, this is the one Mandela effect thing, I'd have to go, But I think the Shazam movie was as a kind of wink at those people.
Well, maybe so, because, but they kind of missed the mark with doing it that way.
I agree.
Because if you understand, Captain Marvel was kind of a more campy version of Superman. And they meet. It's in this new series. They meet. Superman meets Captain Marvel. And of course, he was modeled after Fred McMurray. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the look of the original Captain Marvel was Fred McMurray. But it was, they had, it was like the TV Batman versus the Green Hornet. The Green Hornet was more, well, what was that? The light flickered. There's a ghost. Van Williams is here. He knows I'm talking about.
Probably Brandon.
Oh, Brandon. Oh, you mean Bruce?
Well, Brandon Lee, because Brandon always said he would haunt everybody. So
great. I don't even
I'm
know
sorry.
what you haunting me for. It's Debbie Reynolds, because I got the "What's the Matter with Helen?"
There you go.
Adele cutout over here. But anyway, Batman was very campy, and then Green Hornet was really straightforward and really serious. So that's the thing. Captain Marvel was lighthearted. They had Talkie Tawny, the talking tiger, and Dr. Savannah was kind of it wasn't like Lex. It was like Lex Luthor in a comic type thing. And the other characters, and so there was some seriousness in it, but it was very lighthearted, which I kind of liked with it. And but I really loved that comic when it came back, because I didn't know anything about Captain Marvel. What is that? And I really, this is, like I said, the early 70s, and I have a bunch of those comics still.
Yeah.
But what brought this on was Captain Marvel Jr., which is another character in that. Elvis in the movie is say, "I loved Captain Marvel Jr.," and he's wearing the lightning bolt and the blue. What they don't tell you is he loved Al Jolson. There, you never hear nothing about that. But if you remember his first movie where he's on stage and you see Gladys in the back of her, and she's in the audience, she's on the end. He's up on stage and he's doing, that's Jolson.
Whoa.
Yeah, he loved Jolson, and they don't mention that.
Well, early in Elvis's career, Al Jolson was still a star. I mean, and
1950? Well, he passed away in 1950.
Did he? I thought it was later than that.
No, he passed in.
Jolson was a huge star at one time. He was.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you know this, Richard, but our mother adored Al Jolson. She had records.
She always watched the movies. And
oh, yeah. She was a major Jolson fan.
Well, he had a great voice.
Yeah.
He didn't have a real good idea about how to portray things, but
well, you're right. I mean, today it's like, whoa, what's going on? I would think, I'm in the Jolson Society, and I disagree with, because a lot of those people, oh, it was great when he did that. I said, listen, it wasn't great. Okay, it is not great.
Exactly.
It was accepted, because these people, that's not what they were thinking of. They were businessmen, businesswomen, these performers, and they said, okay, how do we make money? Well,
exactly.
They want you to put this on, and even if they're African American, we got to, okay, give me it. We'll put it, because they're making all this money. And it was like, who cares? This is how I'm making money. And that's what they were thinking. They weren't thinking, oh, this is this or that. And even if they did, they think, you know what? This is what the people want. We want to make them. I do not condone it. It started in a time where it was this horrible caricature thing. And by the time, Jolson took hold of it, it was sadly a convention type of a thing. But they hold that against him, like he is the poster child of that, because of the jazz singer, which by the way, got a really good showcase in Babylon.
Yes,
So it,
absolutely it did.
but yeah, but there's going to be a Jolson Festival this year in Baltimore, and I'm going to tell them. I said, look, you better be real careful about what you put in the common areas. All right, you better you better put disclaimer. Not that they're going to put that
No.
up, but you got to be so careful of this. And if you're an aficionado of this entertainer, he happened to do that, but he did all this other stuff. That's if you're into the minutia of it. But the man on the street, they say, "Oh, that's disgusting," and I see where they're coming from, and so you got to. I've changed a bunch of the lyrics in the songs. And I said, I'm not going to say that. I don't care. Well, you're allowed to say it. I said, yeah, I'm allowed to say it. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get a tomato in the face. I don't want someone to come up. So yeah, you just be smart and be compassionate. For God's sake, be compassionate.
There wasn't just African Americans that were being penalized.
Oh, everybody got it.
The Mexican actors, almost all Mexican roles were played by white people.
Yeah.
Look at Zorro. I mean,
Yeah.
Zorro was supposed to be a Mexican. It was played by Guy Williams, for God's sake. And even the Cisco Kid. I thought for years that Duncan Ronaldo was a Mexican actor. Nope. He was Romanian.
Yes. But
at least
was...
yeah, but he was born in Los Angeles. He wasn't born in Mexico. He was a Mexican American, but he was born in Los Angeles.
He also gave us a lot of beach.
But Duncan Ronaldo.
What, Mark?
Duncan Ronaldo, that played the Cisco Kid, he was born in Romania. Yeah. But his parents were Spanish. That's where the Duncan Ronaldo came from. But he was a great actor. Did you ever see any of the old Cisco Kid
serial? I'm not into the Westerns so much. So I don't really follow. I used to like Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie. That's about as Western as but and my mother and my sister used to love the Big Valley, those shows and stuff. But I was never into any of that stuff.
In the Lone Ranger, I heard, I read this and in a biography that Clayton Moore insisted that they use a Native American to play Tonto.
Yeah, Jay Silverheels.
Yeah.
The Lone Ranger is a blood relative of the Green Hornet.
Yep.
John Reed, R-E-I-D, was the great grandfather or something. Of Britt's father.
Yeah.
So they were relatives. Not everybody knows.
Yeah.
And Clayton Moore owned Silver until the day that Silver died.
Yep.
Wow. That's so funny.
He put that in his contract that they would give him the horse when the show ended, and he kept. Silver lived to be 21, which is old for a horse.
Well, he was well taken care of. I didn't know I was going to live to be 21. Nobody took care of me. I mean,
it's there in the genetics.
Now, we're talking about superheroes. What did you think of all the spoof shows that they did of superheroes? Like, there were two old ones. It was Captain Nice and Mr. Terrific. I don't know if you ever saw either one of those.
I think I vaguely remember Captain Nice. And
Captain Nice, the actor in Captain Nice ended up being the teacher on The Wonder Years. Okay. It was the same actor that played the teacher on The Wonder Years. And I forget who played Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, they came up with a pill that gave you superpowers, but it made everybody sick. So they tested everybody across the country, and they finally found this one guy, and he was like a plumber or something, and it worked on him. And it was very similar to the Greatest American Hero.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah, I was an extra on. I mean, I had a cameo in that.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
well,
met
that
William.
was
I didn't know William Cat. I'm sorry, what, Mark?
That was William Catt, who was the son, I believe, of the
Yeah.
lady that played Perry Mason's
Yeah,
secretary.
Barbara Hale.
Okay.
Yeah,
I watch Perry Mason all the time because it's on MeTV in high definition. It's on FETV. It's on BBC. They run Perry Mason all the time, and I love that show now. So I watch that. But yeah,
It was,
Barbara Hale, and she played Jolson's last wife. You know, because he had actually he had two wives before he married Ruby Gill. In the Jolson Sings Again. That was Barbara Hale. And I was not into Perry Mason when she came to the Jolson Festival in Palm Springs. Very nice lady, very sweet woman. And had
very,
I been this fan, what's that, love?
very rich.
Well, good. If that's got
She
more
bought
power
Perry
to her.
Mason.
Yeah, well, and then, but yeah, she was really nice. But had I known her today, I was, oh my God, I would have been flipping. Like, remember Roberta Sherwood, the
Yeah.
saloon singer? Okay, years ago in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, there was a club called the Saints and Sinners, and not really the Maskers, but the Men's Comedy Club. All senior citizens who were in the show business. And this lady would come in with these big glasses, and this wig and stuff, and she'd get up and she'd sing "Up a Lazy River with them." And all right, that's great, nice. And Roberta Sherwood, nice lady, very sweet. Years go by. Okay, maybe within the last couple of years, we got YouTube now. Anybody who ever did anything is on YouTube. So I play her singing something, and she is fantastic. And I thought, oh my God, this woman was sitting every week or every month. I'd see this lady, and I had no idea who she was. And then it's like you meet her recently, and I wish I could have said something to her then. So yeah, but
That's very quickly. I want to add on a story that I heard, and I'm sorry to change the subject so dramatically, but you said YouTube, and it reminded me. Most of the editing of Everything Everywhere All at Once was done by 5 people who had never taken an editing class.
really, that's pretty impressive.
They did it from watching videos on YouTube.
How to edit? Oh, that's amazing.
And they won an Academy Award. And the multi-million-dollar effect artists that did Doctor Strange,
you talk about that being a big deal that it won an award, a science fiction film that won an
yes,
award. You have to look at what earlier science fiction films didn't win the award and were nominated. Like E.T. was nominated for Best Picture, and that was a great film, and it did not win. Star Wars, which, it was a good movie. It wasn't art, but it was a good movie.
Well, there's people that are going to disagree with you on that. You better watch out. These people watching this, they're going to throw you out. What do you mean?
Empire Strikes Back was much better. That was the best of Empire Strikes Back was the best of the 3, in my opinion.
I agree. Well, there are so many science fiction movies that have just been glossed over. And I mean, I'm just so happy that the one that did it was a low budget. I mean, 15 million, that sounds like a massive amount of money, but that's a low budget film these days. And
it's just it's the genre that's the problem. Look at Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart for 8 years did a wonderful job playing Captain Picard. Never got nominated for an Emmy for acting.
Yeah.
the very first role he does after he leaves Star Trek, he plays Captain Ahab on a Hallmark thing and wins an Emmy.
You just never know. You never
Did
know
he
what
all
they
of a
want.
sudden get? Did he all of a sudden get to be a better actor?
Now,
It's-
I don't
think
think so.
I think it's just that there was the what did somebody call it? The silicon ceiling. they they couldn't break through, and now they have. So maybe we'll start getting some respect. You know, Richard, because of all of the people you've known, I wanted to ask you: had you ever met Mila Nurmi?
I never did, but I
Oh,
know I've seen where she is interred at Hollywood Forever
yeah, where
Cemetery,
our
which is not far from me.
our
I
aunt
did
and
not
uncle is
meet her.
there. She was a lovely lady, and she had been a friend of James Dean's. So when I did the James Dean book, I did a lot of interviews with her. She was just a great lady, and I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to meet her because she was lots of fun.
Yeah, well, it would have been nice to. I mean, I remember when they did the Ed Wood movie.
Yeah,
They filmed that like right down the street, a little stretch of Hollywood Boulevard, right where I live, and they paid everybody,
yeah,
They put up gray, white, and black signs and storefronts because it's a black and white movie.
right.
So they did what they thought, okay, this is going to look better in black and white if it's gray and black. So the whole block and it's the scene where Johnny Depp, it's Glenn or Glenda, and he looks in the window and goes, that scene was right down the street from,
Oh yeah, I
and
remember that scene.
do you remember what? Yeah, but that
Yeah.
was filmed, and they changed everything a different color. It wasn't color; it was gray and white and black. But I'm sure she was portrayed in that film, and I'm assuming that when they had a premiere or whatever,
He was
the
there. Yeah,
remaining cast was invited. I would hope so.
yeah.
But I did meet Martin. I did kind of know Martin Landau.
Oh, he was cool.
He very nice man. He used to come into Romeo and Juliet's, which was the first, like, it was an Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills. It's kind of right down the street from the Museum of Broadcasting on Beverly Drive and across from Nathan House and stuff. And they used to have, they don't have this anymore. You had a guy playing the piano, you had a host. He would come in because I think he had a girlfriend that was working there too. And he came in the night that he lost for Tucker.
Oh
Because
yeah.
they used to have the Oscars on Mondays. They just changed it to Sundays in the last however many years. But for years, the Oscars were held on the Monday night. And that was my night. It was Monday. And I had my own, I was hosting and singing all this 20s stuff. So he comes in, and I said, oh, and also congratulations, for all the Oscars, all the nominees. I said, listen, it's like winning. Even if you're nominated, it's like winning. So and he said, so that was fun. But that was the only tie into Mila Nurmi would have been, roundabout through the Ed Wood film.
Yeah.
Well, Melanie and I used to know an old time actor when we lived in Big Bear.
Oh yeah.
When we lived in Big Bear, we used to know George Tobias.
Yeah, that was
he played the next door neighbor on Bewitched.
Yeah.
He was in hundreds of gangster movies mainly. He usually played a bad guy in the gangster movies.
Yeah.
And he lived up Big Bear, and he was just one of the guys.
He shopped where we shopped and everything else. He wasn't
Don't you love that?
there at Big Bear Lake alcove where
and one of our other neighbors owned a Tucker.
Oh, yeah. The car?
Yeah, and he used to bring it out only during the summer. He wouldn't bring it out in the winter. And on Saturday nights, he went to the A&W where they still had the roller skate waitress. And he would eat on Saturdays there at the, and so we'd go on Saturdays. It was right across the street from the high school, what used to be the high school back then.
Yeah.
And see him in his blue tucker there at the
That was an
A&W.
interesting year. When we were living up there, my best friend was Cecily Riddle, who was Nelson Riddle's daughter.
Wow.
And yeah, and I knew the whole family.
I went to school with Tina.
Yeah, you would.
Tina went to high school.
And I went to
Melanie got to see Linda Ronstadt go backstage.
Yep.
Oh my God! Wow.
And
because he was her personal music director for Linda Ronstadt back at that time.
Wow.
And also met
and he wrote Batman.
Yeah,
he did.
He wrote
the theme to Batman.
He did, absolutely. So who else did you Melody?
Frank Sinatra Jr. Sinatra himself walked through, but we didn't meet him. He didn't want to deal with the kids, you know.
Well, I saw him at what used to be was it not Ciro's? It was Chasen's.
Yeah.
Which is now what do they call not Whole Foods, but it's one of those little more. Of course, when we hang up, I'm going to remember the market, but it's a little boutique grocery store. And
Aldi's maybe.
No, well, this is way before Aldi. If you look up Chasen's and what it is now, and I'm going to totally remember what it is. There's also one on Fairfax and Sunset.
Oh yeah,
another one of these markets, and why it's escaping me now, I don't know. Anyway, Rick Dees, who I used to work with, had his Christmas party one year at Chasen's. So Sinatra is there sitting, and George Burns is there.
Wow.
So Sinatra, and I said, Rick, this is the first time I've been in a place where there's a bigger star than you, because he was always the biggest celebrity. And then when George Burns was leaving, I went outside because he's waiting for his car. He's this big, little guy, and he used to talk about Jolson a lot on TV. He goes, Al Jolson was the greatest. He was the greatest. He would. But, very, very big ego. He come down for breakfast. He wanted applause. He went to the bathroom. He made an exit. He came out of the bathroom. He made an entrance. That was Jolson. And I thanked him for talking about Jolson. He goes, oh, yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. But I got to see George Burns, and I said, Chase, you know what? This is killing me. So I'm going to have to look up what Jason's is. Oh, watch this. You don't have to
we're getting close.
Hey, Google.
To
what is Chasen's on Beverly Boulevard now?
These came back from a search.
Jason of Beverly Hills. Oh, Jason. It didn't say Jason. All right, keep talking. Don't let me stop you.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, we're getting, what are we at, 2 minutes of?
Oh, yeah, we better, yeah.
We better wrap. Well, this has been lots of fun, as it always is when you're with us, Richard. And
it's a blast. It's just so fun.
Let me make a little mention. I didn't want to interrupt the flow, so my in memoriam thing, I will post that on FanFlak.
All right.
Very
okay.
Good.
My headphones have quit on me. So I will post that on FanFlak and some other little things.
Sounds good.
Because when Richard's on here, we always run out of time because he is
wonderful.
A load of information.
You are you guys are Bristol Farms.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Bristol.
They took over all of the preview house one.
Which one?
Too. They took over all of the preview house buildings too.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Wow.
Have you ever heard of Preview House?
I remember that used to be Harmony Gold. I mean,
Yeah.
Harmony Gold used to be a preview house. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
right
Sunset.
across the street from Jay Ward Productions, where
No,
the,
that
was the original site.
Oh,
It
the
was on
original.
Sunset Boulevard, the original site of the moose statue with
with Bullwinkle.
Rocky in his hand, where it originally was.
Wow.
And Melody and I used to go there all the time. When you're a teenager, they used to invite you to that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was LA in the 70s. It was nothing to do.
Really? That's very surprising. Okay.
And the
That way it
Playboy
was a
Club,
preview
the
house.
Playboy Club was still there at that time.
Yeah.
Still had the big bunny on top of the building, and
The whole thing.
yeah.
Bless you, Richard. You have a great week.
You too.
All of you have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday. And our guest next week,
Will
not
be,
even
who
gonna
knows?
say
It will
because
be the
who knows?
Invisible Man.
The Invisible
There you
Man or the
go.
Invisible Woman. Can I give Instagram or no?
Of course, go for it.
My Instagram is at RICHALPERN at Halpern, like L'chaim, RIC
Yeah,
Halpern on
Halpern.
Instagram. So follow me, baby.
Text,
Absolutely.
I follow
he's
you, by
wonderful.
the way. Text me that information, and I'll add it to the fan Flak.
Oh, good. And the Austin Powers impersonator one too. All one word.
Absolutely.
Austin
Anything
Powers,
you
I'll
want
send
on
it to
there,
you.
you text me and I'll put it on there.
Even Go-Go Boy Jake has his own. All right. When we stop, let's stay on. I'll get the information from you.
Sounds great. You guys have a great week. We love you.
Fan Flak, yeah, Fan Flak, yay! Woo!